What if you could plant 7 perennials once in containers and harvest fresh, delicious food from them every single year for the next decade or more without ever replanting? I'm about to reveal 7 amazing edible perennials that thrive in pots, produce food season after season, and save you hundreds of dollars on groceries. And plant number 4? It produces so prolifically that a single container can yield over 50 pounds of food per year. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which edible perennials to grow in containers, how to care for them, and how to turn your patio or balcony into a productive food garden that never stops giving. Before we dive into these incredible edible perennials, if you love the idea of growing your own food without the constant work of replanting every year, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. We're all about practical food growing that saves time and money. And if you've ever wanted a productive garden but felt overwhelmed by the constant maintenance, drop a like on this video. You're about to discover the easiest way to grow food at home. All right, let's jump right in. Here are 7 edible perennials that you can grow in containers and harvest from year after year. Let's talk about the traditional approach to container gardening for food and why it's actually exhausting for most people. The typical advice is to grow annual vegetables like tomatoes, peppers, lettuce, and beans. You plant them in spring, harvest through summer, and then they die in fall. Next year, you start completely over. New plants, new soil amendments, new work. It's a never-ending cycle that requires constant replanting, constant maintenance, and constant expense. But here's what most people don't realize. There's an entire category of edible plants that are perennial, meaning they come back year after year without replanting. These plants establish deep root systems, survive winters, and produce food season after season with minimal intervention. Many have been grown for hundreds or even thousands of years as staple foods in various cultures. They're reliable, productive, and incredibly cost-effective over time. The challenge with perennial food plants has always been that most need to be in the ground. Their deep roots don't adapt well to containers. But that's where today's list becomes incredibly valuable. The 7 perennials I'm sharing are specifically chosen because they excel in container growing. They have adaptable root systems that handle pot restrictions. They produce abundantly, even in limited space. And they're forgiving enough that beginners can succeed with them. When you edible perennials will transform how you think about container gardening. Let's get started. Number 1. Asparagus, the ultimate perennial vegetable. Asparagus is the classic perennial vegetable that every serious food gardener should grow. And yes, it absolutely can be grown in containers if you do it right. Once established, a single asparagus crown produces spears for 15 to 25 years or even longer. In containers, you can expect 8 to 12 years of reliable production, which is still an incredible return on investment. Here's why asparagus is perfect for container growing. The initial harvest in year 3 or 4 is worth the wait. A mature asparagus plant in a large container can produce 30 to 50 spears per season, and fresh asparagus sells for $6 to $8 per pound at stores. That's easily $30 to $50 worth of asparagus per year from one container. The math works out incredibly well. Asparagus is also one of the first vegetables ready in spring, often producing when nothing else is harvestable yet. The key benefit is decades of harvests from a single planting with minimal maintenance. Asparagus needs almost no care once established. No replanting, no constant attention, just patience in the beginning, and then years of rewards. How to grow asparagus in containers. You need a large, deep container, at least 18 inches deep and 18 to 24 inches in diameter, for one crown, or 24 to 30 inches for multiple crowns. Asparagus has deep roots that need room. Use a high-quality potting mix amended with compost. Plant 1-year-old crowns in spring, spreading the roots out and covering with 2 inches of soil initially. As the plant grows, gradually add more soil until the container is filled. Don't harvest any spears the first 2 years. Let all growth mature to build up the root system. In year 3, you can harvest lightly for 2 to 3 weeks. From year 4 onward, harvest for 6 to 8 weeks in spring. Cut or snap spears when they're 6 to 8 inches tall. Stop harvesting when spears become thin and let remaining growth mature into ferny foliage. This foliage feeds the roots for next year's harvest. Fertilize in early spring and after harvest ends with a balanced organic fertilizer. Water consistently during the growing season. Asparagus is cold hardy to zone 3. Number 2, strawberries, the most productive perennial fruit for containers. Strawberries are incredible container plants that produce sweet, delicious fruit for 3 to 5 years before needing replacement. Unlike most fruits that require large trees, strawberries grow in compact plants perfect for containers. A single strawberry plant can produce 1 to 2 pounds of berries per season, and you can fit multiple plants in one container. Here's why strawberries are exceptional for container growing. They're specifically bred for container culture. There are even varieties called everbearing that produce fruit from spring through fall, giving you harvests for months instead of just a few weeks. They're also incredibly popular with kids, making them perfect family plants. Fresh organic strawberries cost $6 to $8 per pound at stores, so growing your own saves serious money while giving you better tasting fruit. The key benefit is reliable, delicious fruit production in small spaces with minimal care. Strawberries in containers are easier to protect from pests like slugs and birds compared to ground plantings. You can elevate containers to make harvesting easier, and they produce fruit in the first year, unlike many perennial fruits that take years to bear. How to grow strawberries in containers. Use containers at least 8 to 12 inches deep. Strawberry pots with side pockets are traditional, but any wide, shallow container works well. Plant strawberries in spring using crowns or nursery-grown plants. Space them 8 to 12 inches apart. Plant at the correct depth. The crown where leaves emerge should be right at soil level, not buried and not exposed. Use high-quality potting mix with good drainage. For everbearing varieties, choose Quinault, Seascape, or Albion. For traditional June-bearing varieties, choose Honeoy or Chandler. Remove flowers the first season to help plants establish stronger root systems. Then, allow fruiting from the second season onward. Water consistently and deeply. Strawberries need consistent moisture during fruiting. Fertilize monthly during the growing season with a balanced fertilizer or one formulated for berries. Strawberry plants send out runners with baby plants attached. You can remove these to keep the mother plant vigorous or root them in small pots to create new plants. Replace strawberry plants every 3 to 4 years when production declines. Protect from birds with netting once fruit starts ripening. Number 3, perennial herbs, specifically rosemary, thyme, sage, and oregano. Perennial herbs are some of the easiest and most valuable edible perennials for containers. Rosemary, thyme, sage, and oregano are Mediterranean herbs that thrive in pots and provide fresh herbs year-round in mild climates or spring through fall in cold climates. A small pot of fresh herbs at the grocery store costs $3 to $5 and lasts maybe a week. Growing your own means unlimited herbs for years. Here's why perennial herbs are perfect for containers. They're naturally adapted to poor soil and dry conditions, making them incredibly low maintenance. They're compact, fitting easily on windowsills, patios, or balconies. They're beautiful as well as functional, with attractive foliage and flowers. And fresh herbs transform cooking, allowing you to create restaurant-quality meals at home. The key benefit is having fresh herbs steps from your kitchen whenever you need them. No more buying expensive herb packages that go bad before you use them. No more settling for dried herbs with less flavor. Just step outside and snip what you need. How to grow perennial herbs in containers. Use well-draining potting mix, preferably with extra perlite or sand added. Mediterranean herbs hate wet feet. Containers should have excellent drainage holes. Size depends on the herb. Rosemary needs at least a 12-inch pot as it grows quite large. Thyme, sage, and oregano can grow in 8 to 10-inch pots. Place containers in full sun, at least 6 to 8 hours of direct light. These herbs won't thrive in shade. Water deeply but infrequently, allowing soil to dry between waterings. Overwatering kills Mediterranean herbs faster than anything. Don't fertilize heavily. These herbs prefer lean conditions and actually develop better flavor in poor soil. Harvest regularly by snipping stems, which encourages bushy growth. In cold climates, rosemary is not winter hardy and must come indoors. Thyme, sage, and oregano are hardier, zones 4 to 5, but benefit from winter protection. Mulch containers heavily and place in a sheltered location, or bring indoors to a cool, bright room. Prune herbs lightly in spring to encourage fresh growth. Number 4. Rhubarb, the prolific perennial vegetable. This is the plant I mentioned that can produce over 50 pounds of food per year from a single container. Rhubarb is a vegetable whose tart stalks are used in pies, jams, sauces, and desserts. A single established rhubarb plant can produce 8 to 10 pounds of stalks per harvest, and you can harvest twice per season. That's 16 to 20 pounds per year, potentially more with excellent care. In containers, you might get slightly less, but 30 to 40 pounds over a 2-year harvest period is very realistic. Here's why rhubarb is exceptional for containers. It's incredibly cold hardy, surviving Zone 3 winters with no protection. It's virtually pest-free and disease-free. It grows vigorously with minimal care. And it produces for 20 to 30 years from a single planting. That's decades of harvests. Rhubarb stalks sell for $3 to $5 per pound at farmers markets, so the value is substantial. The key benefit is massive production from one plant. You're not growing a few leaves for salads. You're growing pounds and pounds of substantial vegetable stalks that can be frozen, canned, or made into preserves, extending the harvest value throughout the year. How to grow rhubarb in containers. You need a very large container, at least 20 inches deep and 24 inches in diameter. Rhubarb has a substantial root system. Use rich potting mix heavily amended with compost. Plant rhubarb crowns in early spring or fall. The crown should be planted 2 to 3 inches below the soil surface. Don't harvest any stalks the first year. Let all growth mature to build up the root system. In the second year, you can harvest lightly for 2 to 3 weeks. From year 3 onward, harvest for 6 to 8 weeks in spring and again lightly in fall. To harvest, grasp a stalk at the base and pull with a twisting motion. Cut away the leaf blade immediately, as rhubarb leaves are toxic. Water consistently. Rhubarb needs regular moisture. Fertilize in early spring and after harvest with compost or a balanced fertilizer. Remove any flower stalks that appear, as flowering reduces stalk production. In winter, mulch heavily over the container to protect roots. In extremely cold climates, you may need to move the container to a protected location or bury it in the ground temporarily. Number 5. Sorrel, the lemony perennial green. Sorrel is a leafy green vegetable with a bright, lemony flavor that's used in salads, soups, and sauces. It's popular in French cooking and incredibly easy to grow. Sorrel is one of the most productive leafy greens for containers, producing fresh leaves from early spring through late fall. A single plant can provide continuous harvests for 4 to 6 years before needing replacement. Here's why sorrel is perfect for container growing. It's shade tolerant, producing well in part shade where lettuce and other greens struggle. It's perennial, coming back year after year, unlike annual greens that need replanting. It's incredibly productive, with one plant producing enough leaves for regular salads throughout the growing season. And the unique tart, lemony flavor adds brightness to dishes that you can't get from store-bought greens. The key benefit is having fresh salad greens available for 8 months of the year from a single container. No more buying expensive mixed greens in plastic containers. No more lettuce going slimy in the fridge. Just walk outside and pick what you need. How to grow sorrel in containers. Use a container at least 10 to 12 inches deep and wide. Sorrel doesn't need huge pots. Plant in rich potting mix amended with compost. Sorrel prefers part shade to full sun, but in hot climates, afternoon shade is beneficial. Water regularly to keep soil consistently moist, as sorrel doesn't tolerate drought well. Harvest outer leaves by cutting them at the base when they're 4 to 6 inches long. Leave the center growing point intact and the plant will continue producing. Harvest regularly to encourage fresh, tender growth. If leaves become too large and mature, they become tough and excessively sour. Young leaves are best. Remove flower stalks as they appear, as flowering reduces leaf production. Fertilize monthly during the growing season with a balanced liquid fertilizer. In cold climates, sorrel dies back in winter but returns vigorously in spring. In mild climates, it can produce year-round. Divide sorrel every 3 to 4 years in spring to rejuvenate plants. Number 6. Blueberries. Specifically, dwarf or compact varieties. Blueberries are one of the most valuable perennial fruits you can grow, and modern dwarf varieties are perfectly suited to container culture. Varieties like Top Hat or Sunshine Blue stay compact at 2 to 3 feet tall and produce abundant berries. A single blueberry plant can produce 2 to 5 pounds of berries per season, and plants live for 20 to 30 years or more. Here's why blueberries are exceptional for containers. They actually prefer acidic soil that most plants hate, and containers allow you to easily control soil pH. They're beautiful ornamental plants with white spring flowers, summer fruit, and stunning red fall foliage, so they're decorative even when not producing. And fresh organic blueberries cost $6 to $8 per pound, making homegrown berries incredibly valuable. The key benefit is decades of productive harvests from compact plants that fit easily on patios or balconies. Blueberries are also one of the healthiest fruits you can eat, loaded with antioxidants and nutrients. How to grow blueberries in containers. Use large containers, at least 16 to 18 inches deep and wide, preferably larger. Blueberries are long-lived plants that need room. Use acidic potting mix formulated for azaleas, rhododendrons, or blueberries. Standard potting soil won't work. The pH needs to be 4.5 to 5.5. Choose compact varieties suited to containers. top hat, sunshine blue, or peach sorbet. Most blueberries need cross-pollination from another variety, so plant 2 different varieties if possible, even if both are in separate containers near each other. If you only have room for one, choose sunshine blue, which is self-pollinating. Place containers in full sun to part sun, at least 6 hours of direct light. Water consistently with rainwater or distilled water if possible, as tap water can be too alkaline. Fertilize with an acid-loving plant fertilizer in spring and early summer. Don't fertilize after July, as this encourages tender growth that can be damaged by early frost. Prune lightly in late winter to remove dead wood and shape plants. Don't prune heavily, as blueberries fruit on 1-year-old wood. Protect ripening fruit from birds with netting. In cold climates, protect containers in winter by insulating with bubble wrap, moving to a sheltered location, or burying temporarily in the ground. Number 7. Walking onions, also called Egyptian walking onions or tree onions. Walking onions are one of the most unusual and productive perennial vegetables you can grow. Instead of forming bulbs underground like regular onions, walking onions form clusters of small bulbs at the top of their stalks. These top bulbs, called bulbils, weigh down the stalk until it touches the ground, and the bulbils root, creating new plants. This is why they're called walking onions. They literally walk across the garden over time. Here's why walking onions are perfect for containers. Every part of the plant is edible. The green shoots taste like scallions and can be harvested repeatedly. The underground bulbs taste like shallots. The top bulbils can be used like small onions or shallots, and the plant produces continuously without replanting. It's one of the most productive edible perennials relative to its size. The key benefit is having fresh onion flavor available year-round from a plant that requires almost zero maintenance. Walking onions are completely cold-hardy, surviving brutal winters with no protection. They're virtually pest-free, and they multiply on their own, giving you more and more plants each year. How to grow walking onions in containers. Use containers at least 10 to 12 inches deep and wide. Walking onions aren't fussy. Plant bulbs or bulbils 2 to 3 inches deep in spring or fall, spacing them 4 to 6 inches apart. Use standard potting mix. Nothing special required. Place in full sun to part sun. Walking onions tolerate more shade than regular onions. Water regularly during the growing season, keeping soil evenly moist. Harvest green shoots by cutting them at the base, leaving the underground bulb intact to regrow. Shoots regrow within weeks for repeated harvests. Harvest bulbils in late summer when they form at the top of stalks. You can use them for cooking or replant them to create more plants. Dig underground bulbs as needed, but leave some to continue producing shoots. Walking onions need minimal care. No fertilizing required unless growth seems weak. Then apply compost or balanced fertilizer. Divide clumps every 2 to 3 years if they become too crowded. Walking onions are cold hardy to zone 3 and don't need winter protection in containers. Now let me share some general tips for successfully growing edible perennials in containers that apply to all 7 plants I've covered. First, container size matters. Don't try to save money with tiny pots. Perennials live for years and need adequate root space. When in doubt, go bigger. Larger containers also dry out less quickly, reducing watering frequency. Second, drainage is critical. Every container must have drainage holes. Edible perennials will not tolerate sitting in waterlogged soil. If you have decorative pots without holes, Use them as cache pots with a functional growing pot inside. Third, use quality potting mix, not garden soil. Garden soil compacts in containers and doesn't drain properly. Invest in bagged potting mix or create your own using peat moss or cocoa coir, compost, and perlite or vermiculite. Fourth, water management is key. Containers dry out faster than garden beds, especially during hot weather. Check soil moisture regularly by sticking your finger 2 inches deep. If dry, water deeply until water drains from the bottom. Mulching the soil surface helps retain moisture. Fifth, fertilize appropriately for each plant. Perennials generally need less fertilizer than annuals, but they do need some nutrition. Use slow-release organic fertilizers or liquid fertilizers diluted to half strength, applied monthly during the growing season. Sixth, winter protection is crucial in cold climates. Even hardy perennials need protection when grown in containers because roots are exposed from all sides. Group containers together in a sheltered location. Insulate with bubble wrap or burlap, mulch heavily over the soil surface, or move containers into an unheated garage or shed. Seventh, refresh soil annually. Remove the top 2 to 3 inches of soil each spring and replace with fresh compost or potting mix. This replenishes nutrients without having to completely repot the plant. Eighth, repot when necessary. Most perennials will eventually outgrow their containers, or the soil will become depleted. Plan to repot every 3 to 5 years, moving plants to slightly larger containers with fresh soil. Ninth, be patient. Unlike annuals that produce quickly, perennials often take 1 to 3 years to reach full production. Don't get discouraged if harvests are small the first year. Established perennials produce abundantly for many years, making the wait worthwhile. Finally, harvest regularly and correctly. Most edible perennials benefit from regular harvesting, which encourages continued production. Learn the proper harvest technique for each plant to avoid damaging the plant while maximizing yields. And there you have it. 7 amazing edible perennials that you can grow in containers and harvest from year after year. From asparagus and rhubarb to strawberries and blueberries, from perennial herbs to unusual vegetables like walking onions, these plants prove that productive food growing doesn't have to mean constant replanting and endless work. Plant them once, give them proper care, and they'll reward you with fresh, delicious food for years or even decades. Thanks so much for watching this complete guide to edible perennials for containers. If this video inspired you to start growing your own food in containers with perennials, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more practical food growing advice. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 7 edible perennials you're most excited to grow, or share your own experience with perennial food plants if you're already growing them. And if you want to learn how to preserve and store your harvests so nothing goes to waste, check out the video I'm linking on your screen right now. I'll see you in the next one, and remember, the best time to plant a perennial was 3 years ago. The second best time is today. Happy growing and happy harvesting!